Hi, I'm Michelle Sterling for Friends of Science Society. There's been some criticism recently of the Bank of Canada, which I think is quite justified. The Bank of Canada never stood up for Alberta and the oil sands during the tar sands campaign. We even issued a press release asking them to do so. The Allen inquiry, the Alberta inquiry, found that some billions of dollars had poured into Canada to various environmental groups funding the tar sands campaign. Obviously, an economic trade war against Canada by various competing nations or competing corporations or competing interests of many kinds. The Bank of Canada has incredible power in the world of finance, but oddly, they didn't stand up for an economic driver of Canada, one that in 2005, when I worked for Alberta Environment, we figured that it drove about a third of the Canadian economy. And the Allen inquiry has not been covered by the media. The media seem to be very quiet on the issue. Somehow, they don't think it matters that a third of the Canadian economy has been devastated by an economic trade war against Canada, specifically against Alberta. Now, the Bank of Canada did not forecast that there would be a potential conflict in Russia and the Ukraine. But John Mearsheimer, a US political scientist, has been forecasting that since 2015. The odd thing is that the Bank of Canada, that's very busy pushing net zero and doing computer modeling on climate change, somehow they think that they can forecast the future of climate in the world, but they can't forecast an economic downturn. They weren't able to forecast that there was going to be economic consequences from the pandemic, even though the former Bank of Canada governor, Mark Carney, knew the economic carnage caused by the pandemic. And in 2003, the SARS pandemic. And Mark Carney is a trustee with the World Economic Forum. And as a matter of fact, the World Economic Forum, which claims to be protecting the world from various global risks and acting in the world's interests, the World Economic Forum in 2006 had both pandemic and global oil price shock on their list of risks to the world. So they took them all off the list of global risks in 2020 and replaced it with climate change. Now, climate change is a very complex area of science. It's something that cannot be resolved by many thousands of scientists in the world because it is so complex. And in fact, the Clintel organization out of Holland, which is now over 1,000 scientists and scholars who are signatory to the World Climate Declaration, state that there's no climate emergency and natural factors are more influential on climate than are human-caused industrial emissions. So it's very curious that the Bank of Canada has not done the minimum due diligence on this issue and instead are steaming ahead with their net zero plans and modeling, all of which are senseless and useless. And numbers of scholars who work in the area of modeling have told them that. And we also issued an open letter to the Bank of Canada a few months ago, telling them that if they proceed on this kind of path on climate change, they are essentially engaging in greenwashing. And that's forbidden by the Competition Bureau if you're a corporation. But I guess if you're the Bank of Canada, rules don't matter. And of course, as usual, the only people who are going to suffer are you, the little people, you and me. So if you think that's important, why don't you let the Bank of Canada know? Write them a letter, give them a phone call. They have an office right downtown in Calgary, and it's curious that they didn't notice that the downtown of Calgary, which used to be a fabulously energetic place, has been completely gutted by the tar sands campaign. You'd think they would have noticed that, since they go to work down there almost every day. So, you know, there's something wrong in the system, something terribly wrong. And the Bank of Canada should not be above criticism by anyone, especially not by citizens of Canada who have every right to know what the heck is going on in the world. For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Sterling.